Senate GOP finds circumstantial evidence on COVID origins. Chinese regime fines comedy company $2 million for mocking CCP army. U.S. President Biden's non-attendance in Papua New Guinea is a gift to China, experts. A screenshot accidentally reveals China's public opinion manipulation secret. Beijing CDC, COVID-19 cases return to the top. Many Chinese city hospitals are overcrowded.
On April 17th, Republican Senator Marco Rubio from Florida released a 328-page report on the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, which found more evidence to support the hypothesis that the virus likely escaped from a laboratory in Wuhan, China. Senator Rubio, the top Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee, initiated the investigation into the origins of COVID-19 nearly 2 years ago. Rubio said in a statement, "This report, which took 2 years to compile, edit, and refine, is a groundbreaking look at what was happening in China during the years and months leading up to the known outbreak of the pandemic." The report, titled "A Complicated and Serious Situation," highlights evidence that Chinese government officials and relevant figures in the scientific community possessed some level of awareness of an outbreak of infectious disease prior to the information being publicly disclosed on December 31st, 2019. He accused the Chinese government of perpetuating international deception by promoting the theory that the virus originated in a wet market in Wuhan. The report's executive summary states that, from December 2019 to October 2021, Wuhan Institute of Virology, or WIV, researchers filed patents for inventions meant to address problems with the lab's differential air pressure system, biocontainment equipment, and waste handling process. Any one of these problems could have allowed a pathogen to escape the lab complex. WIV researchers confirmed this by explaining that their inventions were designed to prevent precisely such a scenario. The report added, "In addition, indirect evidence suggests that the most senior leadership of the CCP, or Chinese Communist Party, likely had at least limited knowledge of this laboratory incident by no later than the middle of November 2019. Rubio noted that the findings provide an aggregate picture that strongly supports the lab leak theory. China's foreign ministry immediately called the report a fabrication led by anti-China senators, which has no scientific credibility and is purely a deliberate smear and political manipulation. Over the years, U.S. intelligence agencies have been unable to reach a unified conclusion about the origins of the Wuhan virus. However, what the intelligence community and Rubio appear to agree on is that the Chinese government is standing in the way of efforts to determine the true origin of COVID-19. Rubio's report notes, Beijing's efforts to render imperceptible the exact timing and original cause of the initial outbreak of SARS-CoV-2 are what necessitated this study. It added, as its refusal to cooperate fully with the World Health Organization has shown, Beijing's efforts to keep these facts well beyond the world's reach continue unabated. Scientists have not yet succeeded at tracing the origin because they have been denied access to the data that would facilitate a retrospective study of its genomic epidemiology. The Chinese regime has fined one of the best-known stand-up comedy companies in China about $2 million for mocking the military in its show last week. Beijing Municipal Bureau of Culture and Tourism announced the penalty for Shanghai Xiaoguo Culture Media Co. on May 17th. In addition to the heavy fine, the company has been suspended indefinitely from hosting shows in the capital city. Authorities accused Li Haoxi, often known under the name House, of making fun of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP's army, the People's Liberation Army, during his comedy performance in Beijing over the weekend. In the show, Li joked that when he saw his 2 adopted dogs chasing a squirrel, it reminded him of a famous phrase used by the CCP army. The phrase roughly translates to, "Fight well, win the battle." Chinese leader Xi Jinping used this slogan to praise the CCP army in 2013. Beijing police said they had opened a probe into the incident, claiming Li's show had seriously humiliated the military and harmed society. The South China Morning Post reported that users' reactions on social media Weibo were divided, as some users expressed anger at Li, while others defended him. One user wrote, I don't see a big problem in his comments. The country has no creative freedom at all. There are too many red lines in cultural art, and this reality is not fun. While previous Chinese comedians have faced the consequences for making jokes that authorities deemed inappropriate, the penalties imposed in this case are significantly more severe. Last November, authorities fined stand-up comedian Li Bo about $700 for making fun of Shanghai's COVID-19 pandemic lockdown and teasing teenagers. The Chinese regime imposes strict censorship on issues it deems sensitive, particularly political topics such as criticism of the CCP. That ideological control has tightened recently, hurting the entertainment industry. According to experts, President Joe Biden skipping his planned stop at Papua New Guinea is a gift to China, which is eager to expand its footprint in the Pacific Island region. The White House on May 16th announced that Biden canceled his trip to the Pacific Island nation to focus on the U.S. debt ceiling. By then, Papua New Guinea had already prepared around 1,000 security officers to welcome the U.S. leader. Hal Brands, a professor of global affairs at Johns Hopkins University, told the New York Times, "It will reinforce lingering doubts about U.S. staying power. And you can bet China will make hay of this. Its message to countries in the region will be, you can't count on a country that can't even perform basic functions of governance." Reuters reported that both governments were set to sign a critical defense pact during Biden's engagement in the country. It would allow U.S. Coast Guard vessels to watch over its ocean, an agreement China would surely oppose. The call-off also included a plan to meet 18 Pacific Island leaders in the PNG capital, Port Moresby, for 3 hours. Chinese President Xi Jinping went to PNG in 2018. Richard Maud, a senior fellow at Asia Society Policy Institute, told Reuters, "The mantra in the region is all about turning up. Turning up is half the battle. China turns up all the time, and so the optics aren't great." The New York Times recalled that when former President Obama missed an APEC meeting in 2013 due to a government shutdown, Xi Jinping took over the event and touted that the Asia-Pacific cannot prosper without China. Chinese state companies have increased construction and mining activities in many developing countries, including Papua New Guinea. Anna Powles, a senior lecturer in security studies at Massey University in New Zealand, said the U.S. presence in the region is still perceived as being in its early days. She noted, "Trust is the currency of the Pacific, and building trust takes consistency. It takes being reliable, being there, being present." Derek Grossman, a senior defense analyst at the Rand Corporation, called it a big missed opportunity. U.S. officials had pledged billions of dollars in infrastructure investments, and a group of American executives had intended to accompany the president. However, whether the promises remain in place remains to be clarified, as Biden is not coming to the country. Grossman said, "You can actually argue that going to Papua New Guinea for 3 hours is more important than going to the G7, or maybe even going to the Quad, because it is a new opportunity, opening the door to all kinds of possibilities. And now that may be closing because of our own domestic situation."
In March 2022, a Twitter account named Clark Roosevelt tweeted a screenshot of a document that reads, "One of the diseases of America hegemony, the never-close eavesdropping door," which accused the U.S. of screaming about China's human rights issue but ignoring international rules and morality. This account is not affiliated with other accounts, and this tweet received only 1 like. But strangely, the screenshot with the above content was reposted by more than 200 accounts on Weibo in December 2022. According to RFA, a study titled Gaming Public Opinion by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, ASPI, collected data from multiple platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Sina Weibo, and platforms of ByteDance. As a result, it discovered a Chinese Communist Party CCP online influence operation related to spamouflage, aiming to portray the U.S. as a cyber hegemony. ASPI pointed out that the account Clark Roosevelt was part of the CCP's spamouflage foreign propaganda operation, and a corner of Clark Roosevelt's screenshot is suspected of leaking the operation codename, which is Honey Badger Operation. It involves a public security bureau of Yangcheng City, Jiangsu Province, and a Chinese cybersecurity company named Qi Anqin. What is spamouflage? How did it evolve? According to RFA, spamouflage combines the words spam and camouflage, representing a unit operating to spread false news. Accounts in the spamouflage network often post similar content and usually like, share, or comment on each other's posts. In the second half of 2018, spamouflage was active and was used to attack Guo Wengui, a Chinese dissident tycoon exiled in the U.S. A Chinese cross-platform social network then continued to attack Hong Kong protesters on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook in 2019, with the suspected purpose of supporting the CCP. After 5 years, ASPI found spamouflage is currently more focused on influencing the public outside of China, expanding from Chinese to English to Russian, Korean, French, Japanese, Indonesian, Spanish, etc. It operates on at least 40 social platforms worldwide, including China and Russia. How Chinese cybersecurity companies' reports drive public opinion. Between 2015 and 2022, Chinese cybersecurity companies published at least 16 reports blaming the U.S. for implementing Advanced Persistent Threat (APT) attacks against China, culminating in 2015 and 2016 related to the Snowden data leak and the Vault 7 leak of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. In 2022, the number of accusations from Chinese cybersecurity firms spiked. However, the U.S. government had no large-scale leaks the previous year, and Russian cybersecurity firm Kaspersky had no related reports. ASPI believes this is unusual. In the same year, according to ASPI statistics, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokespersons commented on U.S. cyber activities at least 13 times. At the same time, Chinese state media such as the Global Times, Xinhua News, and People's Daily published at least 23 English articles on U.S. cyber activities. By analyzing the CCP's public statements and official media reports, ASPI found the allegation of U.S. cyber espionage operations was mainly based on information issued by these two Chinese cybersecurity companies. Number 1. Pengyu Labs of Xi Anxin Company. It announced in March 2022 that the U.S. National Security NSA used the backdoor program BVP-47 to monitor 45 countries for 10 years. Number 2, Chinese cybersecurity company Qihoo 360. In September of the same year, the company and China's National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center released an investigative report accusing the NSA of trying to infiltrate China's Northwestern Polytechnical University. At the same time, there is a large consensus on social platforms. A Chinese cybersecurity company releases a report on U.S. cyber activities, followed by Chinese officials and Chinese media accusing the U.S. of cyber hegemony. Then a group of suspicious accounts on social platforms joined together, implicitly revealing the CCP's foreign propaganda. Spamouflage and the CCP's narrative of American hegemony. ASPI determined the Honey Badger operation as a special name for a series of the CCP's foreign propaganda activities. The central axis of this campaign is to promote an article on the internet that says, "One of the diseases of America hegemony, the never-close eavesdropping door." ASPI collected 3,560 tweets, 209 website forum articles, 126 Reddit posts, 37 blog posts, 10 Facebook posts, and 71 Sina Weibo posts from accounts they believe are from Honey Badger operation between January 1st, 2022 and January 1st, 2023. They found the accounts in this network had been around for years because they shared the same characteristics with the spamouflage-related accounts that were exposed in the past, such as the use of AI-generated images and posts criticizing Guo Wengui. These posts were all released during Beijing's Times working hours on weekdays, and the posting frequency peaked after Pengyu Labs reports. On Twitter, these accounts often use hashtags such as hashtag US cyber hegemony, hashtag US surveillance, hashtag US hackers infiltrating other countries, hashtag American hegemony, hashtag American hackers, etc., and use mocking illustration images to condemn US cyber activities. The relationship between spamouflage and China's Public Security Bureau. ASPI continued to monitor social platforms other than Weibo and trace the IP addresses of some spamouflage accounts. They discovered the accounts were all from cities around Jiangsu province. On Taotiao, a platform owned by ByteDance, an account named Chihuahua Ya Chihuahua posted 6 articles about U.S. cyber surveillance. At the time of reporting, this account only had 4 followers, and each article was read 7 times at most. The account also only follows one account, the Traffic Police Detachment of the Public Security Bureau of Yangcheng City, Jiangsu Province. However, there still needs to be more public evidence to prove the Yangcheng Public Security Bureau directly operates these spamouflage accounts. ASPI inferred that Chinese public security agencies could be one of the main actors in the spamouflage network. The report cited analysts from the RAND Corporation saying that Chinese military does not run spamouflage accounts. Still, they may be run by the CCP's propaganda department, the United Front Work Department, or both. ASPI believes through this wave of foreign propaganda, the CCP is trying to show that Chinese cybersecurity companies can expose the U.S.'s secret operations and create the image of the CCP as a responsible big country. The COVID-19 pandemic in China has broken out again. According to Beijing CDC's weekly pandemic report, the number of COVID-19 cases has surpassed that of influenza for 2 consecutive weeks and returned to the number 1 disease with the most infections. Many hospitals in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou also witnessed long patient queues. Beijing CDC's weekly pandemic report for the 18th week from May 1st to 7th also shows 10,508 cases of 16 infectious diseases, of which the top 5 diseases with the most significant numbers of the cases were COVID-19, influenza, infectious diarrhea diseases, tuberculosis, and dysentery, accounting for 97.7% of reported cases of infectious diseases. In this regard, Li Tong, a chief doctor of the Department of Infectious Diseases of Beijing Yuan Hospital, told People's Daily that the most recent number of COVID-19 cases has increased. Most new cases are for first-time infections. The rate of patients testing positive for second time is relatively low, and patients are mostly young. Many hospitals in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and other places have long queues of COVID-19 patients. As China's Jiangshan Today reported, not only do Guangzhou residents feel there are more positive patients, but residents of Beijing, Shanghai, and other places also said that recently COVID-19 patients have appeared around them. On May 15th, medical staff at some tertiary hospitals in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou also said patients must queue for half an hour to 3 hours for examination. On May 7th, a netizen posted a video saying Shenzhen Luohu District Women's and Children's Dispensary in Guangdong Province is not only full of people, but also has many children with fevers. In the infusion hall of Beijing Children's Hospital, many children have coughs, fevers, and runny noses. Another video shows the outpatient department in China Medical University in Changyang City, Liaoning Province, was crowded with people at 10 a.m. on May 8th. The videographer said, "When you see this video, it will definitely blow your mind." Hospitals in Xi'an City, Shaanxi Province were also overcrowded, and people had to queue until late at night. A video shows in the list of patients queuing for fever checks in Xi'an Children's Hospital at 22:58 on May 15th, the number 984 is queuing, and 122 people are waiting in front of him.